Imagine the sound of dripping water. Slow, steady, almost invisible. Now imagine that drip isn't water, but your money. Every little leak, a late night impulse buy, a subscription you forgot to cancel, a small fee buried in fine print. The leaks don't roar, they whisper, and they drain you more than you notice. Now picture this. One day, the drip stops. Silence. Your money stays put. That silence is wealth beginning to breathe. Wealth doesn't start with a grand investment. It starts the day the leaks stop. The first $1,000 you save isn't about growth. It's about control. Growth comes later, but control is what unlocks everything. This is the shift we're chasing on the passive path. Not hype, not quick wins. A steady, patient, almost boring kind of control that compounds into something unshakable.
If you can stop the leaks, you've built your first layer of freedom. And the question that follows is powerful. Once you've sealed the bucket, what kind of engine do you want to build on top of it? The first $1,000 should feel heavy, not because of what it can buy, but because of what it protects. You put it in a high-yield savings account, safe, separate, slightly out of reach. It won't double overnight. It won't make you rich, but it builds the muscle of keeping money. A simple account paying 3 or 4% does something bigger than numbers. It puts distance between you and your habits. It adds friction between the urge to spend and the act of spending. That friction is stronger than willpower. Think of it like patching a hole in a boat. The patch itself doesn't move you forward, but without it, no matter how hard you row, you'll sink. A small story. Anna was 22 when she saved her first $1,000. She put it in a separate account, told herself she wouldn't touch it. For the first time, she didn't feel broke at the end of the month. That money gave her 12 weeks of breathing space. With that space, she read, tested new skills, and built confidence. A year later, she earned a raise that was worth 10 times the interest in her savings. The account didn't make her rich. The account made her ready. This is why boring wins at the start. Boring gives you time to think, plan, and grow without fear of losing everything. Once you've patched the leaks, you're ready to ask the next question. If the boat finally floats, which engine do you build to move it forward? The engine begins with your mind. $1,000 sitting safe gives you a cushion. The next step is to spend $200 not on things, but on knowledge. Think of it as buying a street MBA, built from shelves instead of tuition. 5 shelves, 5 categories. Money basics to understand the rules of the game. Personal growth to sharpen how you think and act. Biographies to learn from real lives and real mistakes. Leadership and sales to understand people. Starting a business to see how ideas turn into income. The goal is not to read endlessly. The goal is to read and apply. A small notebook, a stack of cards, one experiment at a time. Learn a concept. Try it for 30 days. Take notes. A book on negotiation turns into asking for a better phone plan. A book on habits turns into setting a nightly shutdown routine. Luis is an example. He worked in customer support. After reading across those shelves, he rewrote his call script, added empathy lines he found in a leadership book, and practiced one technique from a sales guide. Within 2 months, he closed 2 upgrade sales. That extra commission funded his first retirement account. 1 page, 1 action, 1 result. Knowledge pays twice. First, in the confidence it gives you to handle money. Second, in the skills it unlocks to earn more of it. And here's the secret. You don't need to finish every book. You only need to pull out 1 line, 1 tactic, and test it. Small pieces build into a skill stack. That stack becomes leverage, and leverage grows your income faster than any interest rate. With your mind trained, your dollars can now read the market. The question becomes, how do you turn time, return, and money into your 3 dials of wealth? Wealth is shaped by 3 dials: time, return, and money. Together they form the framework that quietly decides your future. Time is the length of the game. Every extra year you give your money multiplies its ability to grow. Missing 5 years at the start costs more than missing 15 years at the end. Return is the growth rate. It's not about guessing the next hot stock. It's about having a process that delivers steady gains. A boring, broad market fund returning 7 to 10% beats risky bets that come and go. Money is the fuel you add. The more you earn, the more you can contribute. A raise, a side project, or a new skill all push this dial higher. Income is the hidden amplifier that powers the other two. A simple rule helps frame this. The rule of 72. Divide 72 by your return rate, and you get the years it takes to double. At 7%, your money doubles in about 10 years. At 10%, it doubles in about 7. Consider two friends. Maya starts at 25, investing $100 each week. John waits until 35, but puts in $150 each week. On paper, John invests more per week, but Maya's head start lets compounding do the heavy lifting. By retirement, Maya's account is far ahead, even though she contributed less per month. The math matters, but the story behind it matters more. Starting earlier builds patience. Adding income builds flexibility. A steady process builds resilience. Together they make wealth less about luck and more about rhythm. Once you understand these dials, the next step is learning how to keep them turning without constant effort. That's where consistency, passivity, and automation step in. Consistency, passivity, and automation turn wealth from an idea into a habit. Together they form the pattern that removes emotion from the process. Consistency means setting a rhythm. Weekly or monthly, the date doesn't matter as much as the repeat. Money goes in on schedule. No debates, no excuses. Passivity means you don't chase. You don't pick and choose based on headlines or moods. You trust the process you've set and let it work quietly in the background. Automation means the system does the work for you. Transfers happen without clicks. Investments buy without your reminder. The fewer steps between you and the result, the longer you'll keep going. Pair this with one more principle. Always be buying. Every week, every month. Money flows into assets. Not when markets look safe. Not when you feel confident. Always. This rhythm protects you from your own hesitation. A system can be built in 3 parts. Pick the day. Preset the allocation. Write if-then rules for rebalancing or downturns. For example, if the market drops 20%, you add a little more. If your allocation drifts too far, you shift it back. Then put guardrails around your behavior. Turn off alerts. Reduce news intake. Use a calendar to remind you of the rhythm, not the noise. When your system runs itself, you no longer wonder what to do, you just live inside it. The next question becomes clear. If money is flowing in consistently, what should those buys be? The best buys are often the simplest. A starter cart of investments can do 90% of the work with just a few funds. At the center sits a total market index fund. It owns small, medium, and large companies across industries. You don't need to guess winners, you own them all. Next, you can tilt towards strength with an S&P 500 fund. It focuses on the largest companies in the economy, the ones that often lead in stability and growth. Some choose to add a dividend growth fund. This piece collects companies that steadily raise their payouts, offering a flow of cash alongside growth. It's not required, but it helps those who like the comfort of income. Keep it simple. 2 or 3 funds can match the returns of much more complex portfolios. The complexity often adds cost and confusion without adding real performance. The mistakes to avoid are clear. Don't chase headlines. Don't overlap funds that own the same companies twice. Don't ignore bonds if volatility keeps you awake at night. A balanced mix matters more than squeezing out an extra percent. Tariq is an example. He set his starter cart to 3 funds. Every Friday, the system bought without his input. Halfway through the year, the market dipped, headlines screamed, and his friends sold in fear. He didn't touch his plan. By the end of the year, his account was higher than theirs, not because he was smarter, but because he stayed the course. A few funds, repeated buys, a calm process. That's the core. But even with the right cart, there are risks you don't see until they hit. The next layer is learning how to handle risk and build resilience. Risk is not something to avoid. Risk is something to prepare for. The way to prepare is by building 2 buckets. The first bucket is for safety. 3 to 6 months of living expenses in cash or cash-like accounts. This is not money for growth. This is money for survival. When a job ends, when a bill arrives, when life surprises you, this bucket keeps you steady. The second bucket is for the long term, investments you don't touch for years. This is where compounding works its magic. The rule is simple. Never pull from this bucket for short-term needs. When markets drop 20 or 30%, the safety bucket gives you calm. You don't need to sell at the worst time. You know your living costs are covered. That calm is worth more than any return. The sleep test is your guide. If you can't sleep at night, your risk is too high. It's better to accept slightly lower returns than to live with constant stress. Wealth is not just about money. It is about the life you get to live while building it. With your downside protected, you can now focus on raising the upside, and the most powerful way to do that is not by picking better stocks. It is by earning more. Earning more is the second engine of wealth. Saving protects what you already have. Earning expands what you can put into the system. The blueprint is simple. In 90 days, build a stack of skills. One base skill, one tool, one channel. A base skill might be writing, design, or problem solving. A tool could be spreadsheets, coding, or video editing. A channel is where you bring it to others, freelance platforms, local businesses, or direct outreach. Start. Package what you know into a tiny offer. A spreadsheet template, a design logo, a short course, sell it once, learn from the process, and repeat. Kira followed this path. She learned to automate simple tasks in spreadsheets. She built a package and priced it at €299. She sold her first one to a small business that wanted to save time. That single sale funded her monthly investments for the year. Income is not fixed. It grows when you treat it as a skill, not just a job. Every new layer of skill becomes leverage. That leverage pushes more money into your wealth engine. The gap between income and expenses is not just math, it is creativity. Every extra euro earned is a choice to invest, to buy time, or to build peace of mind. With more income, the dials of wealth move faster. The question then becomes how to measure progress in a way that keeps you motivated. Progress is not only measured in dollars, it is measured in milestones that show you the path is working. There are net worth checkpoints. By your late 20s, having anything saved is progress. By your 30s, a few months of expenses invested. By your 40s, a growing retirement account. These are not rigid lines. They are flexible bands to guide you, not punish you. There are habit checkpoints. 26 automatic buys in a row without interruption, selling your first skill to a stranger, negotiating your first raise. These markers prove that behavior is building wealth even before the numbers look large. Celebration matters, not when markets go up, but when you keep the habit alive. Reward the input, not the outcome. A dinner after a year of steady investing means more than celebrating a lucky gain. Milestones are anchors. They remind you that the path is long, but the steps are clear. With milestones in place, the next layer is routines. The quiet weekly and monthly actions that keep wealth growing in the background. Wealth grows in routines. Quiet steps repeated until they become part of life. Each week you make one buy, block 1 hour to build a skill, and read one page that sharpens your thinking. Small, consistent, automatic. Each month, you review your allocations, rebalance if they drift, and trim one expense that no longer serves you. The act of pruning keeps your system clean. Each quarter, you push for income, ask for a raise your rate, or add one new client. Every 3 months, the second engine of wealth gets another push. Each year, you run a boring audit, check your fees, see if your goals shifted, adjust taxes, insurance, and contributions. It is not exciting, but it keeps the machine aligned. These routines remove decision fatigue. You no longer wonder what to do next. You already know. But even with routines, doubts and fears can creep in. The voice that says you're late, it's risky, or it won't work. The next step is learning how to handle those frictions. Friction shows up in many forms. Doubts, fears, excuses. Each one can stall progress if left unchecked. One common fear is being late. Many think they missed the window because they didn't start in their 20s. The truth is, you start where you are. 10 years from now, you'll wish you began today, no matter your age. Another fear is risk. People imagine losing everything. In reality, ignorance is riskier than the market. Small, steady steps lower the danger. Learning as you go makes fear shrink. Low income can feel like a wall, but income is flexible. Skills create offers. Offers create sales. Sales create money. The wall is not fixed. It is waiting to be built into a staircase. The hardest fear is panic during downturns. When markets fall, the urge to sell feels overwhelming. The fix is rules written in advance. If the market drops, you keep buying. If your allocation drifts, you rebalance. Your phone stays off. Your plan stays on. These frictions are not signs to stop. They are signs you are human, and systems exist to carry you when feelings argue. Proof lives in real lives. People just like you, who faced the same doubts and stayed the path anyway. Their stories show what happens when you push through. The graduate started with €80 a week. She stuck to her buys, learned one new skill, and earned 2 raises in 24 months. Her account grew, but more importantly, her habits hardened into identity. The mid-career switcher felt trapped. He chose one certification, offered freelance services on the side, and within a year cleared his debt. His net worth turned from negative to positive, and the stress he carried for a decade began to fade. The late starter had only 10 years before retirement. He saved half his income, cut expenses to the bone, and built a calm plan. Even with less time, discipline gave him a cushion he thought impossible. The parent taught money by example, a family ritual of paying themselves first. Small games for the kids with jars, coins, and stories. Their children grew up seeing wealth as a rhythm, not a mystery. These 4 lives show the same pattern, different ages, different incomes, the same rules. Save, learn, invest, stay consistent. The details may change, but the path repeats. And that path can be written on one page, simple enough to follow without confusion. The playbook fits on a single page. Your paycheck flows into a high-yield savings account. From there, a set amount moves automatically into your brokerage. Your buys are pre-scheduled, percentages are fixed. If markets drop, you keep buying. If allocations drift too far, you rebalance. Your portfolio holds a core total market fund, a complement like the S&P 500, and an optional dividend growth fund. 2 or 3 funds are enough. Your income plan is written clearly. One skill to sharpen, one offer to sell, one channel to reach people. Your review cadence is predictable. Weekly buys, monthly reviews, quarterly income pushes, annual audits. The playbook is boring. That is its strength. It doesn't demand energy. It doesn't require guessing. It runs quietly while you live your life. And with the playbook in hand, wealth is no longer just about actions. It becomes about the mindset shifts that follow. The first shift is moving from outcomes to inputs. Stop asking how much you made this week. Start asking if you kept your routine alive. The second shift is moving from noise to notes. The market shouts headlines every day. You only need to track your own numbers, your own progress, your own lessons. The third shift is moving from urgency to patience. Wealth is not a sprint, it is a rhythm. Small steps repeated quietly beat sudden bursts. The fourth shift is moving from goals to identity. Instead of saying you want to invest, you become an investor. Instead of saying you want to save, you become someone who always saves. Identity holds when motivation fades. These shifts settle into your bones. They change how you see money, work, and time. And with the shifts in place, you're ready for action. The first steps that start the path tonight. Open a high-yield savings account and move your first 1,000 into it. That money is your shield. Set a weekly buy, even if it is €25. Automate it. Small amounts repeated build the habit faster than large amounts delayed. Pick 2 funds for your starter cart. A total market fund and an S&P 500 fund are enough. Choose one book from the 5 shelves. Pull one lesson, apply it for 30 days, and write down the results. Write your one-page playbook. Keep it simple, keep it visible, and commit to following it. These steps don't take months. They take one evening. This is how the path begins. Quiet, steady, boring. Yet over time, it becomes powerful, freeing, and life-changing. Like this video, subscribe to The Passive Path, and share in the comments what your first step will be. Tell us the day of the week you'll make your automatic buys. The rhythm starts there.